hello. Your eyes do not deceive you. Joe has not grown hair all of a sudden. It is a girls only, completely girls only panel this evening. Joe isn't feeling 100%, so he has made a terrible decision and decided that us girls were ready to fly solo. Obviously, I hope that you can all appreciate that this is the first time that any of us have done this. So please keep the comments positive. I know you always do. Show loves to Joe by leaving lots of positive comments if you're watching this afterwards. Make sure you smash the like, comment, subscribe. I feel like I've done the YouTube tick job. So I am going to pass it over to Kaylee and ask, how has your week been?
It's been a busy week. I've been booked literally all week. It's been freshers, so we've had events for that. We did a Hood crawl on Monday, which we go around a bunch of pubs in Huddersfield and for an hour, and we just get drunk. But I've got placement sorted now, which I'm excited about. I start that on Sunday, so it's all looking good.
Oh God, freshers week. That sounds like my idea of hell. But 20-year-old Evie would have absolutely loved it. Any excuse for a drink. How has your week been, Lucy?
My week's been okay. Better after the result on Saturday.
Absolutely.
Next week for my birthday, so I'm hoping for 3 points to kick us off on Saturday.
What is it? Is it 18? I'm presuming. Because you've only got such an angelic young face.
I'm
20. Oh gosh. Well, I am well and truly the oldest one here this evening. This is where I wish that Joe was here, because at least I'm not the oldest when he's on board. Let's crack on straight away with how we thought that the game. How were you feeling before the game, Lucy? Were you excited? Were you anxious? What were the feelings going into the Wolves game?
I think when you are a Leeds fan, you go in. I mean, I do. I sit there and I'm thinking, what could possibly go wrong? It's going to go wrong. It's going to go wrong, and it didn't. And thankfully, I was right. I was very nervous up until sort of the 20th minute, and then I thought we got into it a bit more then. And I was a lot more happy with that.
Absolutely. How are you feeling, Kaylee, about it?
I was nervous, but I wasn't scared. I was feeling quite optimistic. I just had like a gut feeling it was going to turn out well. But like Lucy said, the first 20 minutes, I was absolutely shitting myself. I was like, oh, it doesn't look good. It don't look good. And then they scored, and then I was just panicking.
Yeah, I think I said that last week, that Rob on the Square Ball had said something that I really resonated with, is what was going to happen if they scored first, because obviously we've scored one goal up until this game. You know, if we went a goal behind, were we going to come back into it? Were we going to be able to, break down a low block if Wolves did what they've been previously known for, which is obviously get a goal, park the bus, especially under Nuno. So but I was a bit like you, Kaylee. I felt like I don't like being cocky before games at all, and I would never vocalize it, although I think I did predict 4-2, so maybe I'm not as like shy as I think that I am. But I was strangely optimistic, because obviously our recent record in the Premier League against Wolves has been very good, and usually it's not usually a goal shy game. When we're against Wolves, there's usually a little bit of drama. So yeah, I was strangely optimistic, but as soon as they scored, that was it. I was like, right, well, there's 3 points. You're welcome, Wolves. We've given you your first win of the season. I was going very melodramatic about it. So shall we have a talk about that goal, because it was probably the best part of Wolves' game. They came into it the second half, but I don't know whether that was necessarily because they were good or because we were just happy to sit back. So Kaylee, what were you thinking when you saw the goal hit the back of the net for Wolves?
Well, Well, I was kind of expecting it really, because the first couple of minutes of performance were absolutely rubbish. Like, we lacked defensively, no creativity in attack. So it's bound to happen. Like, if you're just gonna lay back and you're gonna get goals get past you, aren't you? But but in saying that, I know it wasn't the first goal, but Anton Stack scoring from open play. We haven't scored directly from open play since 2003, and I believe it was Ian Hart.
Ian Hart, yeah.
In the Premier League. That is madness. That is like 22 years ago.
That's an entire lifetime away.
I'm nearly 21. That's older than me.
Oh my God, were you two like behave? Like you were born in this like century. I wasn't. I was born in the 1900s, as my daughter likes to say to me.
Ancient.
Well, exactly. Well, I am according to her. I'm the oldest. Was around when the dinosaurs existed and stuff. So, Lucy, what do you think? Were you thinking, oh God, this is it? How do we come back from 1-0 down after being so goal shy for the first, 4 games of the season?
Yeah, I think my worry was definitely, how are we going to score now? Definitely, I thought, oh, I was sat there and I'm like, right, well, I'm just better turn the telly off, Mum. This is not going very well, is it? But I think, was it Goodmanson that got tackled and then it led to the goal? I think it was.
Yeah.
I think Goodmanson got dispossessed.
Everybody seemed to be out of position as well, so it was all just a little bit chaotic and sloppy. And I don't know about you guys, but it just felt very relegation season. Oh my God, they've sliced us through like a hot knife through butter. How, and when you saw kind of challenges maybe starting to fly in, I thought, well, there usually is a red card in a Wolves game, so maybe we need to continue that tradition. But no, I agree. It just, everybody was pulled out, it didn't feel good. And then obviously it was Longstaff, wasn't it, with the challenge that didn't quite get there either. Do you think he should have maybe done better tracking his man?
I don't know. I think you as a midfielder, you kind of rely on your defence, don't you? And I know like they should have like the IQ to sort of be like, oh, I'll go and cover, but it doesn't always work like that. So I did think it was good in terms of he noticed that he had to track back. Obviously, it's that sort of split second, 2 seconds earlier, and he'd have probably got the tackle in.
Yeah. No, I think it was very disheartening, and it was very like, you felt like you kind of needed to maybe throttle the players, because you do realize this is a 6-pointer. Like, Wolves have lost every game so far this season. We have no excuses. Yes, I know it's an away game, and you know the whole cliche of, if you try and draw your away games and win your home games, but this is a game that was there for the taking. Confidence was through the floor. The fan base are agitated, and I obviously, because we won, I've listened to a lot of Wolves podcasts and watched quite a few vlogs, and there was a chant of, what was it? You've sold the players, now sell the club. So there's a lot of unrest, and if we weren't able to kind of unpick that and win, then that we have bigger issues than we wanted to admit. So it was nice to see a bit of resilience, and like Kaylee, like you said, scored from open play and scored from a set piece, and we kind of ticked quite a few boxes that we've all been fretting about. Thoughts, Lucy, on DCL's goal?
Oh, I was very impressed with DCL's goal. I thought he did really well to sort of like manipulate his body shape. I think it's Bogle who puts the cross into the box, and he just sort of hangs there for a good like 3 seconds, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know you could do that.
What about you, Kaylee? Like, you know, we were all excited, but he's the Bamford replacement. So, you know, I know that you have high expectations from him after coming in to replace your guy.
My love. Yeah, I was very excited. Like, I can't really remember the goal because I was so happy. Like, I think I screamed like, "Yes, get in!" really loud, and I had to send a message into my house group chat to say sorry for the noise because I bet they were all wondering what was going on because I screamed that loudly. But I was so happy to get back into it.
I think it's one of those things that logic and rationale just completely go out of the window when it comes to football, and specifically Leeds United, because in a matter of minutes they made me absolutely use language that one should not use in public scenarios, but that absolutely came flying out of my mouth. And Calvert-Lewin hadn't scored in a game against Wolves for his previous 7 games, I believe, until that. And obviously, we have a very good recent history against Wolves. So it kind of felt like which one is going to come out on top? Is Dominic Calvert-Lewin not scoring going to kind of outshine, or is Leeds' resilience and just positive relationship with Wolves going to shine through? Because I felt that was like he's arrived. You know, that header he's scored so many times before. You know, he's such a striker that's known for his heading ability. And obviously, I loved his interview afterwards saying that's not all I do. You know, like, I don't just head the ball. I saw a lot of bitterness, which is always quite nice when it comes from the Wolves fans, of, you know, that they should have defended it better. It was easy. I don't think that was an easy goal to score. I thought Bogle did very well with the assist, and I thought he placed it really well, but it was such a long ball that there wasn't a great deal of power left on it by the time it got to his head. So he had to propel his head in the right direction and get in between 2 defenders and beat the goalkeeper all at the same time. I thought it was a brilliant headed goal, to be honest, because the majority of headers you're going to score within the 6-yard box, you know, very, very close from a set piece. So I think to score a header from open play, I thought that was brilliant, to be honest.
It was very clever.
Yeah.
How
And
get your body like that?
exactly. And I think he's got a high, similarly to Bamford, actually. I think he's got quite a good IQ, footballing IQ. I think he reads the game very well. I think he uses his physicality. I think he understands defenders and goalkeepers very well, and what they are going to do next. So yeah, I obviously saw a lot of Wolves fans say that probably Jose Sars should have done better with that. I don't think there's much that he can really do, to be honest.
No, it did baffle me though that they've offered the manager a new contract. That was a bit of a baffling moment for me. I was like, oh, I don't think I'd have done that.
What, Wolves?
Yeah,
before the game, they gave him is it a 3-year deal or something?
And he's lost his first 5.
Yeah, I mean, for me, don't you think that that's like the kiss of death? It's like when the board comes out and says, we've got full faith in this manager, and you're like, you're getting sacked in 2 weeks' time, guaranteed. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, but I think that would be surely that's got to be a large cost to Wolves. Yeah. If they sack their manager after giving him a brand new job. The only thing that I can think of is maybe he's had some sort of a relegation release price put in, you know, so that Wolves can sack him without drowning the club, maybe. I don't know. It's their problem, not ours, because, you know, obviously we've got tickets to Europe booked now, clearly, as Daniel Farke came out, because we are the most emotional roller coaster fan base, if there ever was one. I'll just go through a few comments before we get on to Stack's wonder goal. Joe might have the trophy, but Evie has the stand from the Creator Cup. I do. It's because I didn't just steal it. My husband made it. So I brought it home with me. Evie optimistic can't be. I know. I'm clearly have such a great reputation when it comes to this. I agree with Sheena here. DCL's going to shine. I think if we can keep him fit, I do still think it was a massive risk in terms of to not get anybody that's in a similar profile again to either Mecha or DCL to cover, because Pirro is a completely different. So if you've got those two injured, for me, you have to change the style. It's a complete overhaul. If that happens, Joe looks good. I'll make sure to tell him that. Right, so let's go on to the free kick. Obviously, as soon as they score, the momentum completely shifts. It is all Leeds. It's frustrating. I don't know how you two feel, but I sometimes find it a little bit frustrating that we seem to have to create a negative narrative in order for us to fight back, instead of just coming out, putting away the chances that we create. And obviously so far until this game, they have been fairly limited chances, but we have to wait to go behind in order for all of a sudden them to have a rocket up their backsides and come out fighting. I see you nodding there, Lucy. What do you think?
Yeah, I think sometimes there's been a bit of a pattern where we'll maybe like unnecessarily go behind, and then it's like, we'll actually try and play them. And it's like, well, actually, if you'd have come out and started doing this at the start, we wouldn't have gone 1-0 behind, perhaps. And yeah, I get those frustrations.
What about
it's
you?
Entertaining, though.
Absolutely. It is. And I think that maybe it's a bit sadistic, don't you think, in terms of we have to have something to moan about. And if we just went out and were very clinical and did exactly what we should have done, which is to score multiple goals, keep a clean sheet, get your 3 points, tick it off, move on, it'd been boring.
Makes feel alive.
Yeah, it keeps us on the edge of our seats and makes sure that we all know that we're still alive, because our hearts are doing this throughout the game, even when we seem to be coasting. I don't know about you, but I can never relax when Leeds are on. Even when, I think probably the only games that I've relaxed at in the last few seasons have been obviously the Cardiff 7-0, the Stoke, the Bristol, like at home game. Other than that, I always no, this is Leeds. This is Leeds. If there's one team that could throw something away, it's us. It's us. We are that team. But Stack's goal, it was, everybody has been excited over it. Everybody, including non-Leeds fans. The Premier League Facebook has been going on about it. Match of the day, we're going on about it. I try and keep away from anything like that usually, but it's nice. I don't know, it gave me 2020, 2021 flashbacks of people praising Bielsa and things like that. And it's not often that we get praised so openly. But yeah, it was stunning, and I don't agree. Would we let's flip it before we talk. I just want to keep the anticipation going before we talk about how good it was. If Darlow had have conceded that free kick, Kaylee, would you be angry about it, or would you praise the opposition?
I would be angry about it.
So you think that Jose Sarr should have done better then?
Yeah, no. Like if he would have conceded, it's not good. Like I can't obviously praise the opposition because obviously I don't have an emotional connection to them. So I'd be more angry about Carl Darlow messing up than I am with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think that's great because, like, you know, I disagree in the fact of if somebody scores that goal, I'm rolling my eyes at Darlow, but I'm also kind of applauding the person who took the free kick because there was very little room for a keeper to actually save it. You know, it was almost the perfect free kick. You know, top corner. It was his side, so he maybe should have positioned himself slightly better. But you can't take anything away from just how good it was. What about you, Lucy? Do you think that Jose Sarr should have done better, or was it just too good to save?
I mean, I feel like it was just nice to see a free kick. As Kaylee mentioned, it's been a very long time. Now, I think if I was a Wolves fan, I'd be saying maybe he should have done a little bit better. But having said that, I think the movement from Ampadu, so for the free kick, he almost sort of tells Stack where to put it. And then as the free kick's coming in, Ampadu almost moves away to sort of let the ball go in the top corner. So I think from the goalkeeper's point of view, you have got sort of a defender stood in front of you as well. So yeah, if I had to argue a side, I'd probably say should do a little bit better.
Yeah, that's a good point. But does that mean that we've been working on set pieces behind the scene?
Coach, now we have to.
Oh my God. I mean, I don't know whether it's right for me to maybe get a little bit emotional just thinking that maybe our football club is actually doing the basics, i.e. set pieces, and maybe we should learn to do something with them.
The bare minimum looks good when you've been deprived.
Absolutely. And you know, it also gives opposition teams something to be scared of. Like, obviously, over the last 2 years, we've been so dominant in every statistic going, especially with possession and kind of shots and everything like that. Something that we are not able to necessarily do in every game. Maybe games like this are the games that we can maybe show off a little bit because Wolves are much closer to our level than, you know, Arsenal, for instance. But it gives opposition, you know, that we don't have to, we've been so used to walking the ball into the net that it gives us another option. It gives us a choice. We don't just have one way to do things. And if we can't do it that way, then we don't offer a goal threat. You know, we now have scored from a set piece. And it wasn't just an accidental one. It was a stunner of a goal. And it gives us variety, and I think that that's something that Farke should be praised about, in the fact of this system is not the same system for the last 2 years that the players have had. So he's had to coach new players. He's had to coach players that he's had for 1-2 seasons in basically a completely different style of football. And he's had to do it over the course of a summer, whilst obviously us fans have been quite vocal about, we need strikers, we need a new goalkeeper, we need, you know, all of these, you know, what are you going to do about this? And he's had to keep it calm and educate them in a completely different way of playing football. And it now seems to me that pieces are slowly,
a little bit,
just fitting in. You know, it's not going to be the most glamorous football, and it's not Bielsa, simple as, but maybe this is Farke showing that he can adapt. And, you know, regardless of how much we all absolutely love Bielsa didn't really adapt to anything. Yes, he wasn't given the tools as well, but if he wasn't given the tools, he equally didn't change his style of play, whereas Farke hasn't necessarily been given all of the tools. But he is changing his style. So as a manager, I don't know, there's a bit of growth there, which again makes me feel a little bit excited about the potential that we've got going forward in the league. We'll go on to Okafor's goal. I don't know if Okafor's kind of seems to be our kind of stardust, because, you know, I think we've all agreed that we don't have a great deal of sparkly players in terms of we've got workhorses, we've got people who will play for the shirt, people who will try their very best, but we don't necessarily have, well, we don't have a Rafinha, do we? You know, we don't have somebody who's going to, all right, let me rephrase that. We don't have somebody, as far as we know right now, that will take the game by the scruff of the neck and carry us over. But Okafor is probably the nearest thing that we have to a little bit of stardust. And that was frustrating for the first maybe 15 minutes because he seemed to go down quite easily. He kept on shooting across the goal and then nobody was there. You know, there was a few opportunities. And Goodmanson as well did the same thing, shooting across the goal. And it was just like somebody's toenail gets to that and it's in the back of the net. But you kind of want these players to have the guts to try, you know, especially in the first 10 minutes of a game when there's not necessarily been a great deal, you know, for either team. You want them, those are the chances that you want them to say, you know what, I'm going to take this on. So what do you think, Kaylee? Like, were you impressed by Okafor? Were you, you know, before he scored, how did you think his game was going?
Like you said before, obviously I was a bit disappointed. Like, his performance was not up to scratch. But to be fair, if I'm being honest, I don't think no one's was. Like, it's you can't just blame Okafor for not doing his job when no one else was. So, it's good that he got back into it and obviously scored a goal. Made me very happy. But I feel like we shouldn't just blame him for having a poor performance at the beginning.
No, I think that's a really good point. It's amazing how goals shape your opinion of games. And, you know, if we go on and if he doesn't score, maybe we're all berating him, but obviously he comes on and he does score. Lucy, what were your opinions? You know, do you think that maybe the criticism that I've held at Okafor is maybe a little bit too harsh? Do you think that, like Kaylee said, nobody particularly had like a worldie of a game?
I think going forward, I think he is going to be our little bit of creative flair almost, and our little bit of a glitzy glam type player. There was actually a really interesting stat from Johnny Cooper, and he said that Noah Okafor with 12 dribbles in the first half versus Wolves, the most by a player in the first 45 minutes of a Premier League game since Boxing Day. Now, no, not all of those dribbles were successful, and I've seen a lot of people say he gives the ball away too easily and this, that, and the other. But I also think without risk, there's no reward.
Absolutely. That's a definite for this game, and obviously we know from having Farker as our manager for 2 years, and obviously we'll get on to the second half because I know that you had some great notes about the strategy of the second half, but you know, Daniel Farker is a fairly risk-averse manager, and he gets frustrated by players that maybe take too many chances and don't follow through with their defensive duties as well. But he took the opportunity, you know, just before half time, and we've been screaming out, you know, me and my husband have been screaming out at him to just take the shot. Sometimes, especially as a forward-thinking player, I'll be the first to critique a player when I think they're being selfish. You know, we saw it a lot with Somerville in the previous one, not last season before, holding on to the ball too long or taking a shot when there was a pass that would have equaled a goal and things. But sometimes as a forward player, you have to thrive on that selfish instinct that makes you a goal scorer, because if you don't, then, like you said, you know, without risk, no reward. So he finally, it was like he was manifesting my words through the screen onto the pitch, and he took the chance, and he scored. And it was a peach of a goal as well. Maybe, again, if you're to critique a goalkeeper, he wasn't in a good position for the goal at all for that one. But even if he had been, I don't think he saves that easily, at least anyway. So that third goal kind of, because other than the goal that Wolves, the opening goal of the game, Wolves hadn't really threatened us at all since then. So it kind of, for me, put the full stop on the game. Now, with a Wolves game, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's done, because it isn't done until Luke Ayling's done a cartwheel, and there was no Luke Ayling to do a cartwheel. So when is the game actually done? But I think that he grew into it, and I think that he really he finally took his chance, and I don't know, I was able to finally take a breath after he scored that. We'll move on to the second half, because as cliched as it sounds, the game definitely was a game of two halves, because when you actually look at the statistics, again, it's not played on paper, but if you were to look at the we had 6 shots, 4 on target, 3 goals. They had 16 shots. So if you're just looking at the paper and you're just looking at those facts, you think Wolves were robbed. They were absolutely robbed. And you could argue that had Darlow not had such a good game, that game is not comfortable in the second half, and we maybe don't even come away with the 3 points. Kaylee, what do you think?
I was just about to say, yeah, I thought we slipped away towards the end of the second half. It started to look a bit scrappy, a bit dire, like similar to the beginning of the first half. But in saying that, we were 2 goals up, whatever. So does it matter as long as we defend them not scoring more? Then it doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't matter what the statistics are on paper. At the end of the day, there's only one statistic that matters, and that's the scoreline.
Yeah, no, agreed. Lucy, what do you think?
I think the main thing is obviously the result and the 3 points. I do think maybe we sort of sat back and invited a lot more unnecessary pressure than we perhaps needed to. Now, I don't know whether that's sort of Farke's plan or that's just sort of I'd say it's Farke's plan more than they were very good. But I just thought, do we need to do this? Could we maybe sort of just see how many goals we actually can get? Get everybody's confidence up. And so, yeah, I was a bit. I don't think we necessarily needed to go into that defensive block almost as early as we did.
No, I think that's a very good point. My kind of devil's advocate point to that would be, maybe that's the game that you can afford to do that. So maybe you instill that defensive confidence in your players when you know that you're against a team that struggle to come back once they go behind. Maybe they learn how to have one another's back when, yes, you could say that our backs were against the wall, but we were also, like you said, Kaylee, we were very comfortable in terms of we had a 2-goal cushion. They weren't showing a great deal of kind of creativity. There was a lot of shots, but not necessarily shots that were of a great, I don't know, they weren't high value shots really. And maybe if you are going to have a game where you just sit and soak pressure up, it's not Arsenal, it's not Man City, it's not Liverpool. It's, I think, probably the only team right now that we could be fairly comfortable defending without worrying about a goal would be Aston Villa. But other than that, there's not a lot of teams where you can sit back and just soak up pressure. It felt very championshipy in terms of, it felt like, last season what teams would do to us. Do you remember at home when Plymouth were defending when they were 3-0 down? Like, they weren't doing anything to try and attack us. And that's kind of what it felt like. But obviously we had a 3-1 lead. I think this is actually a good point, Joe Blackburn. If we have Nonto or James, I think we keep going forward. But with Aronson, when defending is in his game, I think it worked nicely. Yeah, maybe if we had the options, because obviously we had no Dan James, no Nonto, we didn't really have the counter-attacking choices off the bench. So maybe when you're looking at players who are tiring and you don't have attacking players to replace them with, Jack Harrison will defend. He's good going forwards. Oh God, that makes me a little bit sick today. He's good going forwards. Maybe he doesn't produce an awful lot recently, but he won't shirk his defensive responsibilities. And with us not having Dan James's speed, Nonto's speed and ability to draw fouls, maybe this was his only option, because we didn't have those options off the bench. Maybe, like say Lucy, maybe we do go and try and see how many goals we can get if we do have Dan James and Nonto to bring off, and then Wolves are there sweating, thinking, please let it be over, let it be over. Very much how Cardiff were last season when we were just going on and on and on. I definitely want to hear "We want 7" chanted around Ellen Road at some point this season. I think maybe when we have Wolves at home, that might be the game to get it. Let's go on to the substitutes, actually, in terms of do we think anybody made a difference when they came on? Do we think that any of our subs offered anything going forward, impressed you with any sort of, even just the defensive side of things? Did anybody come on and impress you or even disappoint you? Hayley, I'll put that one to you first.
Remind me of the subs again, sorry.
So we had Harrison for Okafor. We then had Gruev for, was it Longstaff? And who else was in the midfield?
Stack for Tanaka, was it?
Yeah, Stack for Tanaka. Aronson came. Was Aronson for Tanaka? Did Stack stay on the full game? I know Longstaff went off.
Let me have a look.
I thought Aronson had a really good game.
I've actually made notes about that. Sorry, my throat has just gone. Saying Aronson, not great at attacking player, but he's the workhorse that Farker's addicted to. Like he loves a workhorse. He loves a player that just won't stop and that will be a nuisance. Sorry, I'm just gonna have a cough. I'll put this one to you, Lucy.
So the substitutes were Harrison for Okafor, Tanaka for Longstaff, Justin for Bogle, Nemecha for Calvert-Lewin, Gruev for Aronson.
Well, if I'm honest, I don't think necessarily made a huge difference, because obviously we were still towards the latter half of the game. We was playing poorly, so they couldn't have improved that much. But I just want to say a clear favourite of mine during that game was Gabriel Goodmanson. I would admit that I'm starting to love him. He's starting to replace Patrick Bamford for me.
And Story.
Huh?
And
I know.
Story.
Anton Stack did as well.
Oh,
I got Gabriel Goodmanson and Anton Stack. I nearly died.
That's it. Well, you can go now. Like, you've done it. You have completed life.
I've made it in life. But Gabriel Goodmanson, he's unreal. His play, he looked good against. Do you know who did we score an own goal against?
Fulham.
Fulham, yeah. He looked good against that, even though he got the own goal. So
I was gutted for him for that.
The left back that can defend and attack. It is really nice to sort of be able to say, yeah, he can get forward, but he can also defend when needed to as well.
Yeah, I thought his reading of the game was very good in terms of, we got so used, especially in the in the Premier League, of Firpo lunging because he'd mistimed everything, all of that kind of thing. I think that between Goodmanson and Stack, they will be fan favourites. Like, if we stay up, and if we stay up with comfort, which I'm not saying that we will do, but I'm just saying if that's what happens, and you've got Stack's Instagram posts and stories, and then you've got Goodmanson just showing how, like, he's a bit of a smooth operator type of thing. I just think, these are the kind of players that you end up falling in love with. These are the players that, you speak about for years afterwards. I think they have real potential. And obviously, maybe since Bielsa boys, we haven't had too many. Last season, we had quite a few. But if you take the fact that we won the league out of the equation, up until those final few games, I think there's a lot of fans that wouldn't necessarily have felt as emotionally attached to that team as they did to Bielsa's team. So it's nice to see some players that we can get emotionally attached to. And obviously we have to stay up in order to continue to be emotionally attached to them. But yeah, I thought obviously it was very concerning about Bogle going off. I love Bogle. He's one of my favourites. And I think that rumours have come out. I don't know whether it's been confirmed or not that he will probably be out until after the international.
I think at the moment.
Yeah. But I'd be okay with that, because how many have we just got 1 or 2 games until the next international, because they're coming thick and fast.
Spurs, isn't it? I think, and then the international.
Yeah, so two games. I'd rather him be back, obviously, but maybe it gives us a chance to see James Justin. I genuinely can't remember, and now I think the square ball have messed up my head that I have no idea actually what his name is anymore.
Isn't it? Now I'm doubting
myself. I think it is James.
James Justin. Okay, that's all right. As long as we don't have two something Jameses in the team, because
that would get confusing.
Too confusing. Sorry, my throat just seems to have absolutely closed up now.
Been a lot more worried if we would have still had Schmidt as opposed to Justin James. I feel like we've not seen enough of him, but I feel like he's more defensively solid.
Yeah.
So I'm not as worried as I would have been if we were still with Isaac Schmidt.
No, I think that's a good point. We saw enough of Schmidt in pre-season to say that he's not defensively, he's not it.
Yeah.
Not saying that he's a bad player. I just don't think for the level that we are at, he could play fullback. Really, he would be another wing option, which obviously that's where he started anyway for Farke when he did come on last season.
Yeah.
But I do get concerned, because when we are against teams that we see as 6-pointers, obviously this season you've got Wolves, Everton, West Ham, Brentford, Burnley, Sunderland. We need those fullback options, because they create the lack of creativity that midfield lacks, if that makes sense. They give us that attacking that attacking threat kind of thing. Yeah. And when we can afford to be a little bit more defensively vulnerable, I want Bogle there, especially with either Nonto or Dan James, because he seems to have built up very good relationships with both of them. Kaylee, what do you think when it comes to, are you all right? Are you worried, concerned about Bogle missing potentially the next 2 games? Or are you seeing it as an opportunity for James Justin to shine?
I'm interested to see James Justin, really. I'm a bit disappointed that Bogle's out, but we haven't seen much of Justin, have we? So I kind of want to see how well he does. And obviously, if Bogle's out, we need a solid backup. So if James Justin's up for the job, then
go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. And speaking of opportunities, obviously, we got Biol in as basically a replacement for Struijk, and Struijk, other than, was it the Arsenal game that he got ripped to shreds? Yeah, which basically we all players didn't really come away with having a good game in that one. But maybe I think I like the fact that players are taking their opportunities and making it difficult. You know, I think Struijk's really stepped up the last few games. I think that it's nice to have that competition. You know, so many times I've gone on about, you know, me and Joe have had numerous heated debates over competition in places, and the fact that competition is what makes players thrive, or it should do if they have the character about them. But I think that nicely leads me on to competition. Karl Darlow. Kaylee, does Karl Darlow start against Bournemouth? Yeah.
100%. No doubt,
Yeah.
no question. He's proved himself tremendously. What a player.
Absolutely. What do you think, Lucy?
Yeah, he'd be my number 1. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I think it's his shirt to lose now.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree now. And I know Joe doesn't, so it's quite nice to be on his show without him being able to pipe up and say that we're wrong. But I agree. I think Darlow has done more than enough to say that this is my shirt now. And if you want it, you have to prove it, or I have to do something wrong. Obviously, for the sake of Leeds, don't do anything wrong. Like, I'm happy. I don't care who's in goal. It did feel weird seeing Meslier back on the bench. I'm not going to lie.
I watched the video of them arriving. I'm like, oh, this is strange.
Yeah, obviously, we all thought as soon as Darlow became number 1 at the end of last season, we all thought, right, well, that's the last time we probably see Meslier in a Leeds shirt, you know, and I'm so pleased that Darlow has stepped up. I love these stories that Farke seems to have with so many players have had redemption arcs, if you want to kind of give it a proper title. Darlow didn't particularly do a great deal wrong for us. Obviously, there was the Salford Cup game with the hologram hands and the obviously the Chef Wednesday. Yeah, so he's had a few mistakes, but he hasn't done a great deal wrong whenever he stepped up in the league, and you can't really ask for anything more for a backup goalkeeper. And he's now my number 1, shout. I think that I've just seen a comment from Joe Blackburn, Meslier redemption arc. No, if we have to have a Meslier redemption arc, then we have done something wrong. Meslier has had enough chances. I feel for him that he's still here, in all honesty. Yeah, I think that if we can have a situation where Darlow doesn't make enough mistakes to warrant Perry coming back in, then that's what good competition does for you, and that's what we were lacking so much last time round in the Premier League. I mean, we had Adam Forshaw in our midfield still. Like, you just, it actually gives me, like, I feel like I need therapy to just deal with that relegation season, when I think that we had certain players like Adam For. I've got nothing against Adam Forshaw, by the way. It's just a case of where we should have been versus where we actually were in terms of players that we should have and players that it's a thank you next. And the fact that we still had him was just a sign. But, you know, he's a new signing. He was just like a new signing, if we remember that tweet. Let's do a Bournemouth preview, because I'm just aware that we've almost been going an hour, and I don't want to keep you lovely ladies, especially when some of you have got studies and things like that to be getting on with. But as the ever good student that you were like, yeah, of course, I'll join. But education, who needs that? We've got football.
Exactly.
Bournemouth at home, the return of another American to Elland Road. What are we feeling about that, Lucy?
I think that Ampadu needs to give him the Kieran Dewsbury Hall treatment. That's what I think.
Absolutely. Are you feeling confident about the game? You know, realistically, Bournemouth are an established Premier League side. It pains me to say it, but they are. What do you think? Are we going to have another 4-3 game? What kind of are you feeling?
To play a little bit better than we did last season anyway, and in the Championship when teams came and had a go, sort of thing. So obviously we all know Bournemouth are a very like possession heavy team. But I was actually, and I double checked this with stats, so it is correct. I was actually having a little research on my dinner earlier, and the last 7 times we've played Bournemouth at Elland Road, and we've only ever played them 7 times, we've won every single time. So don't let me be the jinx, but I'm gonna be the jinx now.
No, I don't know about you, Kaylee. That's giving me the tingles. That's giving me the positive tingles.
It's frightening me.
Don't be frightened. Come on. We're at home, and it's, again, another cliche goes. Elland Road. It's different when we're at home.
We'll win it. No doubt.
Are you confident? You think that's it? It's done. 3 points.
I'm nothing if I'm not confident. And I'm confident we're going to beat Bournemouth. 3-1 again.
Wow. That would be, I would absolutely love that.
Or
I think
3-0. Keep a clean sheet.
Yeah, I think Dalot deserves a clean sheet, because I also don't think that he could have done anything with that Wolves goal either. And obviously, we know the previous week with the Fulham own goal, well, our own goal, that he couldn't have done. He didn't really have a chance of saving that either. So I think he deserves a clean sheet as well. Go on then, Lucy. What's your score prediction?
1-0 Leeds.
Oh my God, that's not going to do my ticker any good at all.
That's so boring. We want like.
It might not necessarily be boring though. Like, it could be the most exciting kind of, you know, we've bullied them. They've come at us last minute. Ampadu scores, because that would just be the absolute kind of screw you to Tyler Adams, because I don't think Tyler Adams, well, I know he definitely didn't score for us, but he's not exactly a massive goal threat himself. So Danny has gone for a predictable draw, Mr. Positivity, as always. This is a good point. Bournemouth bullied Newcastle, need a weird tactic. I think that... Is anybody going to the game?
Me.
So what kind of reception is Tyler Adams? What kind of reception are you going to give Tyler Adams?
I'm very polite, Evie, so I'm going to be like, hi. No, I'm going to be like, no, I don't like you. And I'm guessing he's going to have quite a lot of booze. Yeah, I don't think he'll get a very nice reception at all.
Yeah, I think that you're probably right, and I hope so. Some players, it really spurs them on to do well. You know, when you've got people booing you. I don't necessarily think that that'll be the case with him. I think he'll make some challenges. My only concern is that he makes some bad challenges, and everything goes a little bit haywire after that. I don't want, for as much as I completely agree, I want Ampadu to show him kind of thing of I'm Leeds now type of thing. But I also don't want Ampadu to get injured in the process, like obviously what happened against Dewsbury Hall, because we need Ampadu. I saw a stat today that said that out of the games where Ampadu has started as captain, we've won 67% of them. And that's the highest percentage of any captained player as long as they've captained more than 5 games. So he is so vital. Even if you don't necessarily see everything that he does, he just seems to be Mr. Leeds United at the minute. And we need him. So do I want him to stick the screws to Tyler Adams? 100% yes. Do I want other players to take it as well so that it isn't all on Ampadu to do the nastiness? Do I want Longstaff to maybe have another Newcastle type game where he's just charging in at everything? Absolutely, I do. I'm going to go... I really desperately want a clean sheet, but I don't think that it happens because I do think that Bournemouth are a good team. I'm going to say 2-1 Leeds. And I think that they score first. And I think that the crowd, instead of going subdued, I think it elevates Elland Road to really get their back up.
Yeah.
So we're going 3-0, 1-0, 2-1.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Let's try and get through some of sad comments that I absolutely am all down for this. But the idea of that also gives me Archie Gray flashbacks when we played the friendly against Villa, and John McGinn goes in and absolutely hammers Archie. So yeah, I don't want that for Harry. It was nice to see him on the bench though at the weekend, considering that Farker had basically said, no, I want to keep him away for as long as possible until he's ready. But let's have a look.
Have you seen the comment where someone says, I don't trust people with 2 first names? It made me giggle. I had the conversation earlier in my kitchen going, I don't trust people with 2 first names. Dan James for one. I was obviously joking.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's the thing that, you know, it's like James Justin should be a Bournemouth player because of the fact that he's got 2 first names. In my opinion, Okafor has been instructed to take chances, to take players on, as Rutter was. He will lose it quite a few times. That's fine. I was counterbalanced by more methodical, safer players. That's a really good point. I'm really sorry. My throat is absolutely done tonight. White Swan has said, I thought we defended comfortably. I think as well that we have, that we did. We defended... Maybe we didn't defend as brilliantly as it actually looks, because I think that Darlow was called upon quite a few times. And obviously, if we've defended, the ball doesn't make its way through to Darlow. Thank you very much, Ellie. I've been noticing that you've put loads of lovely comments in the chat as we've gone along. So thank you very much for that. Does anybody have any final comments or things that they want to discuss that we haven't covered? It's just that everyone know Lucy made the most comprehensive list of what happened in this game. So that's why I'm throwing it open that if we haven't managed to discuss anything, I'm just going to mute me because I'm just going to cough.
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered everything.
I might need you for when I make my journalism notes.
Oh, yes. I'd love to help. Can you give me like half your final grade though? That'd be great.
I mean, come along to graduation if you want. I'll give you the degree myself.
Oh, thank you.
As long as we get to throw the cap and everything.
I feel like High School Musical.
Please break into song as well. Start, singing a bout of marching on together.
I might.
In Huddersfield.
Don't. Working for placement. I'm working with Huddersfield Town Women, and in 2 weeks' time we play Leeds Women.
Ooh.
So, I know, conflicting day for me.
Leeds Women who just won 7-0.
Huddersfield.
Huh?
My auntie works for Huddersfield, so if you need any help, let me know.
Thank you. But
I am going to throw a question out there, that a really important question that I think specifically as women that we probably need to answer. Do you think Fark is attractive as a male?
No, he's not my cup of tea.
Have you seen that picture of him? Right, I sent it to 3 people. I thought it was so funny, but he's like doing this at a camera.
Please send it in the group chat because I need to see.
It is so funny. I was pissing myself out for a good hour on I think it was Saturday.
There you go, Farker. You've got an admirer there. Sterling says yes. So I think we'll all withhold judgment there.
Yeah.
It's a no from me.
I can just play the I'm married card. So yeah. Right. So I think that it pretty much covers it. I think we've done. Hopefully, we've done Joe proud there. I know that everybody here hopes that Joe gets better and that he can come and join us again to keep us all in check and make sure that everything runs smoothly. Thank you to everybody who has watched us all and all the wonderful supportive messages that we've had throughout the show. There's so many comments that it's hard to keep a track of, whilst also making sure that I'm not just sat here in silence. Thank you to Kaylee and Lucy for joining on this stream this evening. Make sure that if you haven't already, go and follow them on any social medias, especially Kaylee with her journalism sporting, because she's now in there with the footballers, so she might be able to give you an introduction to Anton Stack coming soon.
Don't boost my ego.
Right, well, here's hoping and praying for 3 points at the weekend, and I think that that will do us nicely. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you all later. Bye.